Deputy Commissioner of the NHL, joining us here on Tim Sid. Am I wrong there, Bill? You're a baseball guy, right?
Yes, I love baseball, love football, love hockey.
There you go.
Not as big a basketball guy, but I'm a sports guy generally.
Did you grow up rooting for a specific baseball team, and would you divulge that information here on Tim and Sid?
You're talking about Lindor. I'm a Mets fan.
Oh,
well.
Look out.
The skies are bright today for Bill Daly.
That's rare for a Mets fan, so let him enjoy this.
All right, no, I'm not mad at the Mets for pulling off a great.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And Carlos Carrasco here. Let's talk. He's a $12 million pitcher. Anyway, that's not why you came on. Baseball analyst Bill Daly joining us here on Tim and Sid.
So you're happy today?
Yeah,
you're happy today.
Yeah, it was a good deal. I'm happy.
Awesome. All right, let's shift gears to something that I'm sure also made you happy. We got word about an hour ago from the Minister of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries in Ontario. Sens can play at home starting next week. Leafs can play at home starting next week. Just initial feeling on that, Bill, and a feeling on the last province to give the official okay, which is Manitoba. Where do we stand on both fronts? Your feelings about Ontario, and when do you think Manitoba might come down?
Well, obviously very, very pleased with the Ontario decision today, and I know a lot of people worked really hard on that, both for the province, the two local health authorities involved, the two clubs. Been spending a lot of time on it, and hopefully it was always just a matter of time. But we obviously feel like we've put in place a pretty comprehensive program that will keep people safe and healthy, and or certainly we'll do our best to keep people safe and healthy. And we certainly are very thankful that the health authorities saw it that way, and that we'll be able to play games in Ontario.
Do you know when you'll expect something back from Manitoba?
I think the club expects something, a broader type announcement sometime in the near future. I don't think it's something that they certainly have not been given any reason to doubt that it'll be a positive decision.
Yeah, the acting commissioner, our deputy chief of public health, has said confident things will move ahead as planned. So that's a good start.
Bill Daly joining us here on Tim and Sid.
Quite the process. But what I'd feel good about if I'm a Canadian is certainly your public health officials are looking out for the health and safety of Canadians, and we're very comprehensive in their approach, and we're glad we were able to work with them constructively, collaboratively, and gotten to the right result.
Bill Daly, Deputy Commissioner NHL, joining us here on Tim and Sid. Bill, honestly, when that process started with the 5 provinces, was your gut telling you we can get clearance in all 5? Honestly, all 5 provinces. Were you optimistic? Did you realize the task ahead of you? I mean, I'm sure you did, but did you really think all 5 were going to give you the green light?
Fair question. I think I went through different stages at different points of the process. I think that we started the process certainly very optimistic that we'd get to the right result. I think there were times after that where we had a higher sense of concern in some provinces. But I will tell you that we had an exchange of correspondence with the 5 provinces together. Around Christmas time. By the time we were done with that exchange of correspondence, I was highly confident that we would not have an issue.
Outside of health and safety, because I think that we can all safely operate from the assumption that health and safety of all involved is paramount. But after that, what has been the most trying part about getting this season to a start line?
Good question. I mean, I think the craziest part for us is all the moving pieces, and certainly our league has never seen a season like this season or a year like this year, and that involves kind of all levels of hockey. You know, what's going on or what's not going on in the major junior hockey leagues in Canada. What's going on? We don't have the American Hockey League has announced now that they're going to resume play on February 5th with a schedule. But we have not had a major professional league. The ECHL started with only a fraction of its franchises sometime in the middle of December. The European leagues have been stop and start, and some have not started at all. So it's been a challenge with respect to kind of where all the chairs are and where all the players are going to be when the music stops, and that's been and we sit at the top of that pyramid, and unfortunately, for better or for worse, we have to figure out the answers to those questions. We collectively, with the Players Association, with the players, and it's been a challenge. It's quite the puzzle, and hopefully we'll never see anything like this again.
Hear, hear.
It'd be a very, very unique season, but we'll see. We'll see if we can bring everything down safely.
NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly here on Tim and Sid. Bill, the NBA's been doing this now for, I guess, 3 weeks-ish. Anything you've seen from the NBA from a structural standpoint that reinforced some ideas for you and Gary in the league, some new items that maybe popped up you weren't anticipating? What can you draw from how the NBA has started?
Well, I mean, from all appearances, it seems to be a very, very successful start. So, I would think that, we know what their protocols are. Obviously we'll have protocols that are very similar. We're a different sport with different roster requirements, different, we have a minor league. They don't. It's a bunch of different things that we have to deal with. But at the end of the day, in terms of being able to play games, it's your ability to keep the players healthy. And, the key to keeping the players healthy, it's not the regular testing that we both have. It's really the diligence in maintaining health practices and hygiene practices and best practices and doing the right things, and keeping the players away from unnecessary interactions with other people. And obviously, to this point, it would seem the NBA has been successful in doing that. Their players have been successful in doing that. Our key to success long term is going to be the same. We're going to need to be successful in keeping players healthy.
NHL Deputy Commissioner, easy for me to say, Bill Daly joining us here on Tim and Sid. We were talking about the helmet decals and the naming of the divisions yesterday. And to be honest, not that I'm anything but to be honest, and I'm not blowing smoke, we didn't really understand the pushback from the fans. But I guess the big question that we got is this a 1 year only thing?
It probably depends on what initiative we're talking about, and it might not. What I'd say is, obviously, our business people have been working, around the clock, really from the start of the pandemic, way back in March of 2020, to develop creative ideas, to think outside the box, to try to drive revenue and maximize revenue, because when you play a professional sport and you're not able to welcome a live audience and charge admission to a live audience, it's a pretty big hole in your revenue generation. So you're looking for ways to fill that hole best you can. I think our guys have done a remarkable job in coming up with some ideas to do that. Hopefully we'll be successful in exploiting those ideas. But we also understand the uniqueness of this year. And so, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see, what our clubs believe and think, and we'll figure out what we're doing in the future, but we don't have to make those decisions yet.
I get it, and I understand the need for specifics, so I'll ask this specifically. Has there been any talk about the Canadian division lasting for more than a year?
No. No, I don't think as a.
Oh, please, Dale. Please, Bill. Please,
Actually,
please.
quite the opposite. Actually, I think from a league perspective, I think there's a desire to resume our regular alignment as quickly as we possibly can.
Is it because of the travel? Is it because of you got teams that want those teams going to their buildings? Like, what's the biggest thing? Because you understand there's a huge amount of excitement north of the border to see this year.
Yeah, and I'm excited. There's a level of excitement. I think that makes, I think there are a number of aspects about this season, which are unique, but which add interest and are quite compelling. And certainly the all-Canadian division aspect is one of those. So I get it. I just think from a league-wide perspective and a league perspective, we are one league. We're not a league that exists north of the border and a league that exists south of the border. And I think kind of the integration of franchises, to really demonstrate a North American league is where we've always been and where we want to be.
I don't disagree with any of that, Bill. But you and I both know, and I am an employee of Rogers Communications. You and I both know that somebody may get you on a phone or send you a text at some point this year going, man, these numbers are good, Bill. These numbers are good. So good. Anyway, that I predict that phone call may happen and you will give them a proper response, I'm sure. Bill Daly here on Tim Sid. All right, Bill, vaccines. We had Donald Fear on a couple of weeks ago, and he couldn't really give an answer about what it would mean when the vaccine becomes available to your league. Do you expect National Hockey League players to take it?
That's a complicated question, too. I would hope that most of the population will ultimately decide to take it. And I would certainly put NHL players in that category. So, yes, I think, from what I understand, and at least to this point, the vaccine seems as if it will be very effective. We're obviously in a situation where we have a very contagious virus that not only causes people to get sick, but in certain circumstances causes or costs lives. So I think it's good for the general populace that people be vaccinated and be protected against infection. It will certainly speed us to more normalcy, not only in the sports industry, but just in general everyday life. And so I view those all to be positives. If you're asking me whether we're going to make it mandatory for the players to take the vaccine, that's a totally different question, and it has legal implications, and it's something that we would have to discuss and agree on with the Players Association. So there's a whole different element of questions associated with players ultimately taking the vaccine. But do I want them to take the vaccine? Absolutely.
Bill Daly joining us here on Tim and Sid, and I feel like a lot of this conversation, like a lot of the last 9 to 10 months, is in the deep end, and I understand it. But your league has received its fair share of criticism when it comes to the steps that we're all trying to take towards finding equality and the idea of social justice. And you're not alone in that. But in October, the Hockey Diversity Alliance, which includes players in your league, said that they were parting ways with the league because they believed that the league wasn't committed to addressing the barriers to inclusion. Do you believe that your league is doing enough when it comes to diversity in the game?
Well, do I think our league can do more? Yes, I do think our league can do more. Do I think we're doing more? Absolutely, we're doing more. And I think the league announced back in June, the commissioner announced the formation of a number of committees. I happen to be on one of those committees, which is a player inclusion committee. We met yesterday, has a number of current active players and former players on it. Going to be making recommendations to our Executive Inclusion Council, which also met today. We also have a Fan Inclusion Council and our committee and a Youth Hockey Inclusion Committee. All of those committees have been active and working They are all going to table recommendations with our Executive Inclusion Council. They're all going to involve concrete steps. So the answer is yes. We think we need to do more. We think we are doing more, and we think we will do more in the future.
Bill Daly, NHL Deputy Commissioner here on Tim and Sid. Bill, last one from me. I'm excited for hockey. I know you're excited for hockey. I know Tim McAuliffe's excited for hockey because hockey's great. But in this world we're living in right now, in this country, and Bill, as you can understand, with the news that the Leafs and Sens just got the green light to play at home, there are those who are saying, well, clearly the NHL is getting preferential treatment here in a time where not a lot of people are. How would you respond to that?
I guess I'll respond by finishing where I started, which is it's not as if we just asked let's be able to play because we're hockey, and somebody gave us the thumbs up because we're hockey. We asked to play, and in support of our request to play, we showed the relevant health authorities the various steps that we were taking to ensure not only the health and safety of the NHL community, but the health and safety of the Canadian public. And, that wasn't an easy process, as we've already discussed. It went through multiple iterations. Those health authorities had comments. We addressed those comments in responsive ways. And ultimately, we got everybody comfortable that having NHL hockey is probably a more positive result than not having NHL hockey. And certainly we're in agreement with that.
Bill, we appreciate this conversation. We know that none of these were real softballs for you. So when I close, I want to ask you this on purpose. Did you become a Mets fan because in 1969 you watched the Amazing Mets and thought that's what it was going to be for the rest of your fandom?
So in 1969, I'll give you away the secret. I was 4 years old. So no, I was not aware of the 69 Mets, but I was very much aware of the 73 Mets, and they lost in 7 games to the Oakland A's. That was a heartbreaker, and I'm sure I shed a lot of tears when that happened.
Well, there was a team in the 80s, though, that made you feel pretty good.
You did okay.
Yeah, 86 Mets, probably one of the best teams ever.
Fantastic.
But maybe I'm biased as well.
I think you're allowed to be, especially on this Francisco Lindor Day for all Mets fans everywhere. You're allowed to be biased. Bill, we know you've been grinding here. We appreciate the time and enjoy hockey back next week. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.